Hi, welcome to Adjusting Your Heart with Doc AJ Chua. It's disheartening nowadays to look at the news. Consider this: Daniel Furness, who's only 34, and Matthew McKell, who's only 17, they took their own lives because they could not cope with the lockdown. Did you know that depression is the leading cause of suicide? And more than 450 million globally are diagnosed with depression, and 3.3 million here in the Philippines. And I hope that through this episode, we will make this world a better place by saying kind words. What is encourage? Or what is encouragement? Encouragement, it just means to give hope, to give courage, especially to those who are downhearted. Did you know that even our frontliners, they need to be encouraged? Have you heard about Dr. Lorna Breen, a top ER doctor in Manhattan who committed suicide last April? Probably it's because she's seen so many COVID positive patients die, and it took a toll on her. So in this episode, I'd like to salute all our frontliners. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for risking your lives for us. That goes for our doctors, our nurses, hospital personnel, people who work in the grocery stores, our policemen, our soldiers, our garbage collectors, and everyone who needs to go to work during this lockdown. And for those who are not frontliners, please stay home. Let's not add to their burden, okay? But this is the time that we could encourage them. So take time out to message your friends who are frontliners, and I did. I messaged my friends who are frontliners, just a simple message like, thank you for all that you've been doing for us. Stay safe. I'm praying for you. A simple message like that, I'm sure it would encourage them. Or I've also forwarded the campaign wherein they're asking children to draw, to write cards, and then send it to the frontliners. That would help a lot. Or I'm also encouraged to hear of people composing songs and singing for the frontliners, or even dancing for them. This is one way to encourage them. Another group of people who needs our encouragement are people who have tested positive for COVID-19 virus. If you are a relative, please do not add on to their burden by blaming them like, you shouldn't have gone out, or things like that. This is the time that they need encouragement because they're all alone. None of us can visit them. So what we can do is message them, call them up, or maybe we could come up with some videos to make them happy. I heard one survivor said that one thing that kept him going are the TikTok that he would receive from his relatives and friends. Or we could just tell them that we're praying for them. And you know, people who are also being bullied, they also need our encouragement. There's this girl named, I have it here just to make sure I got it right. Her name is Mallory Grossman. She's only in grade 6 when she committed suicide. That's very sad. You know why? It's because she has been cyberbullied. Her mom said this has been going on for months. Of course, they told the school about it and everything, but it's so sad. It took its toll on her. People would write and say that, oh, you're a loser. No, you don't have no friends. Why don't you kill? When will you kill yourself? Things like that. And it really hurts. So my friends, let's encourage those who are being bullied. And let's refrain from bullying others. Another is this girl who have a different outcome because people encourage her. And she made a video in TikTok, and she told people that, I told my mom about my favorite pasta recipe and she made it for dinner tonight. It turned out that I had pasta tonight, or a phrase like, I finished my shampoo and conditioner at the same time, these are embedded messages used by the young people to tell others that they are already depressed and they already have suicidal intent. And on the other side, you'll also see this on your screen. She said this comment section is my new therapy. Thank you. She did not take her own life because there were a lot of people who encouraged her. Like people said, you even haven't seen your future child yet. Things like that. Okay, so I hope that we could use our words to encourage others. In Proverbs 12:25, it says, an anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. So I hope that our kind words would cheer someone up. Let's say for somebody who lost a job. It's very difficult nowadays to lose a job. Like you can share your story. This story has also encouraged me. Once there was a man who went to apply for a job as a bathroom cleaner. At that time, there's no internet yet, so you have to apply in person. So he went to the HR, okay, this is the biodata, please fill it up. But he said, I can't write. And the HR said, then I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. Without that biodata, we can't interview you. So he went away dejected, thinking that if I can't get a job as a bathroom cleaner, how can I get the job anywhere? So as he walked on, he saw somebody selling apples. And he said, okay, I'll just try selling. So he bought a dozen of apples, he marked up the price, and he sold it along the way. And in 2 hours' time, he was able to sell the entire dozen of apples. And he realized that, oh, I have a skill in selling. And to make the long story short, he became a millionaire. Then one day, the bank called him up and said, sir, can you please come? So he went. Then the manager said, sir, can you sign some forms for us? And then the man said, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot write. Then the manager said, huh? You can't write and yet you're so rich? Then where would you be now if you can write? The man thought for a while and said, oh, if I could write, I think I'm still a bathroom cleaner. So this story also encourages that, yeah, sometimes we encounter problems, but I hope that we would be able to turn these problems into stepping stones. And how would we encourage people who have failed? Let's not tell them, you failed because you didn't practice enough, you didn't study hard enough. Let me share with you my own personal experience. When I was in grade 3, I was already at Chiang Kai-shek that time, but I transferred from ICA, Immaculate Conception Academy, so my English was very good at that time. So my teacher said, okay, Jeanette, I now volunteer you to join the declamation contest. So I had no choice because it was a teacher who volunteered me. Sad to say, I lost. And because of that, I got discouraged. So when I went to grade 4, another teacher asked me to join the declamation. And I said, no, I don't want to join because I already lost last year. But because of her encouragement, and of course she had to guide me, you know what? I joined the contest and I won 2nd place. And that started my path towards public speaking. Since that time, I emceed at contests and eventually at debuts, and I even became a wedding MC for my friends. So that started it. It was because a teacher encouraged me, even after I failed. And what about for those who have financial problems? We can also encourage them by the story of Jose Angelo David. He's a Filipino who, he said from his own account that he's not rich. His parents worked very hard. He went to public school, so he has to study. He studied very hard, so he was able to get a college scholarship. And to make the long story short, you know what? He was able to graduate from Harvard University with a law degree. See, so I hope we could encourage others with stories like this. So my first point will be let's encourage others. The second is let's compliment others. Because tendency we have as human beings, we tend to criticize instead of compliment. So I hope that through this video, I would be able to encourage all of you to compliment other people. I grew up in the typical Chinese family wherein compliment is not that common. Because at that time, our parents are very much afraid that if they encourage us or they compliment us, we would become big-headed and we won't strive hard. So when people would compliment me in front of my mom and would say, "Oh, your daughter looks cute," I said, "No, no." Or people would say, "Oh, your daughter is smart. She's in the honor." She was, "Oh, no, 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 she's not that smart." So that's a typical Chinese family at the time. So I also had my insecurities growing up. And then I was challenged by a pastor who told us that if we want our family culture to change, it could start with one person, and that's you. So, of course, then I realized that, oh, yeah, I also don't compliment my mom for her cooking. Like if it's delicious, everybody would just eat. But if it's not delicious, sometimes we say, "Oh, it doesn't taste that good, okay, it needs more salt," something like that. So and then I tried. One time she cooked a delicious meal. But since I was not yet accustomed to complimenting her, I just said, "The food is good." Of course, she knew that I was complimenting her. So that went on for a while. And you know what? Eventually, my mom caught on. One day, she came home. And she knew I was the one who cleaned up the house. But before, she doesn't compliment me. Because in her mind, it's your job. It's your duty as a daughter. But you know what? She started to compliment me. Not directly, but she said something like, "Oh, the house is very clean." So that's an indirect compliment. So that started it all. So I'm encouraging you to start complimenting the people around you. It could be your family members, your relatives, your friends, your colleagues. All of us would need encouragement. And another is that I hope that we would also learn what Ken Blanchard taught as the 1-minute praising. What's the 1-minute praising? Actually, this is written for the management, but it can this kind of principle can be adopted to all relationships. Okay, it just says that you have to catch your people doing good, and once they did something well, you use 1 minute to immediately compliment them for what they did that was good, because this is what you call positive reinforcement. When you compliment them, they're happy. Tendencies, they're gonna do it again. Okay, I got that from the 1-minute manager by Ken Blanchard. And also, there was an experiment done by a teacher. The class, okay, there are 2 rowdy classes. In the first class, this teacher, she just kept reprimanding. She would just say, "Okay, keep quiet, class, keep quiet. Okay, don't keep on walking around." But the more she did that, the more the students, okay, walked around, the more the students talked. But on the other class, you know what she did? She complimented those who are quiet. She would say, "Everyone, look how Anne is so quiet. Oh, thank you, Anne, for listening." And then suddenly, one by one, the kindergarten students kept quiet because they also want to be complimented. So you see, we have to compliment instead of criticize. And I also did that recently, okay, for my parents. Okay, you could see that on the screen. During my Father's Day, I put up a nice picture of my dad and thank him for all his sacrifices for us. And during Mother's Day, I also did that for my mom. Even though, of course, my mom doesn't have a Facebook. But when we visited her, we showed her that. And of course, I translated in Chinese and she was happy. So we could do that from time to time. It's okay, because some people might say, "Oh, will my children or grandchildren become very proud if I do that?" No. Of course, when they're wrong, we can confront them in love. But that's for another episode. So my challenge to all of you is to compliment the people around you. Like you said, how can I compliment them? Well, you can compliment them for a physical trait. Like, "Oh, you look good wearing this shirt or this dress." So, or "Your eyes so beautiful." So those are physical traits. Or it could be a character trait, like, "Oh, you're so helpful. Thank you for helping Shobe in her assignment." Or you have a kind heart. Those are character traits. Or you could compliment them for skill or talent. "Oh, you're so good in playing the violin." Then you clap your hands after a performance. Or maybe you appreciate that person for something that they did. "Oh, I appreciate you for helping me a while ago." So these are things that we could compliment others about. Okay, so for this episode, my challenge to all of us is that let's encourage others and let's compliment others. Thank you. Please click on our like button. You can share this video if you find it very helpful, and subscribe and click on the bell button below so that you would get notified for our next episode, which will come out next Friday. Thank you.